Hey guys, Fabian here. Q&A time. I asked you guys for a ton of questions and you guys delivered me a ton of questions. Mind you, I did have some questions from different people that were very similar or almost exactly the same questions as someone else's, so if I don't get to your question, I promise you the answer is in another question. But seriously, I've been looking forward to making this video because I think it's going to be a lot of fun, so let's get this going. I did have a lot of Castlevania questions, which I guess I can understand, so let's start with those. Question number 1, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to mispronounce this name, so I apologize in advance. Shame Sheckelberg, who is your favorite Belmont? Man, that's kind of a hard one because I kind of like 3 of them equally. See, I've always liked Richter because when I was a kid, he was the cool young one with the bandana. And when you were a kid in the 90s, you were a cool character if you had either a bandana like Rambo or Ryu from Street Fighter, or if you had sunglasses. Richter had a white bandana like Ryu, so automatically that made him a cool character. So I would say that Richter might be my favorite, with Trevor being a really close second. And after the Netflix series, that love for Trevor really skyrocketed, so I'll say Trevor and Richter. I don't know if that's cheating or if that's allowed, but that's my answer. Clorox Del Bleach wants to know, who do you think is better, Trevor or Alucard? Better. I'm going to take this question as a who could win in a fight question. And I'm going to say Trevor for one reason. He's got the vampire killer. Alucard is a vampire. Yeah, Alucard's got powers and everything, but Trevor was the first man to kill Dracula. That's a pretty big deal, so I will say Trevor Belmont. Hyperion wants to know, who is your favorite Castlevania character and less favorite or most hated? So I already covered part of this question with who's my favorite. So let's say who is my least favorite. Okay, I'll tell you my least favorite and my most hated. My least favorite, and this is going to be controversial among Castlevania fans because I've never understood why this character gets so much love with the old school Castlevania fan base. Okay, mind you, I probably mispronounced his name in my timeline video. I said Juste, and I've heard it announced that way, but I've had a couple people tell me it's Juiced. So for the purpose of this video, we're going to call him Juiced. Juiced Belmont. I mean, if you look at him, he just looks like a Belmont version of Alucard. He's pale, he's got white hair, so from a character design point of view, I already think he's kind of lazy. His name is stupid. Okay, and you can argue that in most Castlevania games, the characters don't have personalities because they're little 8-bit sprites or whatever. But in this game, you know, they have the little speech bubbles where they talk, and I don't know, he just seems kind of flat. So, yeah, Juiced, he's my least favorite. I kind of don't care about him. My most hated is real easy. Desmond Belmont. If you don't know who that is, who cares? Don't worry about it. He is from the Castlevania mobile phone game, Order of Shadows. I hate the way this character looks. He looks like a jackass. And mind you, I usually ignore the official canon, like I've stated multiple times. But he is super not canon in any way, shape, or form. He looks stupid. His hair's all spiked up perfectly. He looks like a rejected Dragon Ball Z character. Kit Sandoval wants to know, Dracula versus Dante, who would win? This is probably the easiest question out of all these questions. Dante. And before you say, hell no, do you know how powerful Dracula is? I'm just going to give you one fact that's going to answer this question solidly. It's not even an opinion at that point, it's a fact. And I challenge anyone to leave me a comment rebutting what I'm saying. If you go back and play Castlevania Rondo of Blood, Dracula can be defeated easily by this. A 12-year-old girl that shoots birds. Need I say more? One Eye Sees in 3D wants to know, in the magical instance where Konami loses the death grip it has on Castlevania, what games would you like to see created? I can tell you what I don't want to see created. I don't want any more of those dumbass pachinko machines because they take time away from them actually doing anything that people want. But where would I like to see Castlevania go? I would love it if they took the old games and just started making those again. And what I mean by that is take the original Castlevania, Castlevania 3, just all the old ones, and make them in the style of Lords of Shadow, with that style of game and that style of storytelling. I think that'd be awesome, and you know what? We actually got really close to having that. I'll actually put the clip here real quick of before Lords of Shadow became its own new rebooted universe. It was actually going to be a remake of the original Castlevania with Simon. That's what I want. I want them to go back with that idea and just do it. I think all the fans would love it. PO801. What's your favorite Castlevania and why? And if you were to be in charge of fixing Castlevania franchise, what would you do? I'll answer the second part first because it goes into the last question. I wouldn't say there's anything I would do to fix the Castlevania franchise because I don't think it's broken. Like I said before, just stop making pachinko machines. My favorite Castlevania is probably Rondo of Blood. Because when I was a kid, you know, I knew we had Dracula X, which was similar. So Rondo of Blood was just this mysterious thing for me. You know, we didn't have, back then, open internet where we could just Google any information and it was all accessible to us. Rondo of Blood was just a thing you heard whispers of. You'd be with your friends in the playground and they'd be like, hey, did you know that there's some kind of Castlevania game that never came out over here? So that already interested me. The fact that we had this mysterious Castlevania game that we got a version of over here. And I actually didn't play the original one until it was on the Wii Marketplace. That's my favorite one. I think it was partially because of the mystery. Secondly, because Richter Belmont was the main character. And like I said before, I already love that guy. And thirdly, it's just an awesome game. The boss battles are outstanding. The soundtrack is outstanding. Everything about the game was top notch. So yes, Rondo of Blood is my favorite Castlevania game. Retrobit Gaming wants to know, what is your favorite Castlevania and why? And also, growing up, what was the first game that really caught your attention and pulled you into the gaming culture? I already answered that first part about my favorite Castlevania game, but I really like that second part of the question. And I actually had several people ask me, what's one of the earliest games I remember that kind of inspired that love in me for gaming. And I feel like this answer is going to be really common for people my age. The original Super Mario Brothers. I know that's the easy answer, but it's very true. Christmas morning, I got my NES for the first time in 1980 something. It might have even been early 90s. I don't remember. I was really little, and that was one of the first games I got. Some of my earliest memories, I had Mega Man 3, The Legend of Zelda, but Mario Brothers was the first. Because, of course, Nintendo had that bundled with the NES, so every kid got it. You can't play that game for the first time and not fall in love with it. It's so classic, it defined gaming at the time. And that's one of the reasons I love Nintendo as a company. You know, people say Nintendo's for kids. I disagree 100%. I think Nintendo's for gamers. They were there at the beginning, saving the industry from collapse. Came out Mario Brothers, created a whole new slew of games. But you can always go back to that one game that showed you this is how you make a video game. Morpheus ZX wants to know, what Mega Man timeline is your favorite, and which series of said timeline is your favorite and why? So Mega Man has a bunch of different ones. You've got the classic universe. You've also got Mega Man Battle Network, which I can tell you I don't like. It's just kind of like Mega Man Digimon to me. I never got into it. My favorite is the classic universe, which actually ties into Mega Man X, Mega Man Zero, so on and so on. And my favorite part of that whole universe is the Mega Man X timeline. I had just come out of the NES days as a small child, playing the original Mega Man games, so when we got Mega Man X, and I was already a little bit older, I thought it was so cool to me because Mega Man was growing up with me. You know, it felt like it was Mega Man, but older and cooler. And it was in the future. Even further in the future. FistPump64 is asking, what's your favorite Mega Man game, and do you have any pets? If I had to pick a single favorite Mega Man game, that would tie into the last question, Mega Man X, the first one. And do I have pets? I do. I have a dog called Zelda, who actually made a guest appearance in my last video. That's my dog Zelda. Zelda, what's up? R. Maldonado88 wants to know what my favorite indie game is. Ori and the Blind Forest. I guess that would be considered an indie game. It's Xbox One exclusive. This game, you have to play it, please. If you're watching this video, go download it on your Xbox right now if you haven't already. It's like a combination of the kind of the art style from The Secret of Nim, plus the world of Once Upon a Forest, and the gameplay of Super Metroid. It's just a quality game overall, and yes, I shed a tear as a grown man in the first 20 minutes. I don't care how tough you are, it gets you right in the heart. Ori and the Blind Forest. Play it. Grizzly Station wants to know, if you had to beat the crap out of any video game console just for being lame, which console would you beat up? The original Wii. Let me explain. You can argue that it has a ton of classic games, and I don't argue that. It does have some heavy hitters. during a time where gaming in HD was already a standard. The thing only did 480p maximum. Yeah, graphics aren't everything, but you look real stupid when everyone else is in high definition and you're not. And then on top of all the shovelware and all the shitty games and all the forced motion control wiggling that they incorporated into 90% of the Wii library, yeah, I think I'd beat the shit out of the Wii. Leading me to Hibiki TMD's question. What's your stance on the Wii U? The Wii U, I feel completely differently on. I actually love the Wii U. I bought it on day one, and you know, here's the thing about the Wii U. Nintendo gets a lot of hate on that console because it didn't sell. I think they should have stayed away from the Wii name completely because it's nothing like a Wii. While I think the Wii U is an awesome console, there's not a lot of great games on it. Now, there are a few games on there that are outstanding. You know, you've got your Marios, you've got your Zeldas, Donkey Kong Country Returns Tropical Freeze. It's one of the best co-op games I've ever played. My favorite Wii U game is actually Zelda Hyrule Warriors. I played the shit out of that game. Like I said, the Wii U has some real classics, just not a lot of them. So I find that most people that hated on the Wii U just didn't have one or weren't interested in buying one. And I can understand why. But had they owned one, they probably would have loved it. Honey S. Thompson, who is your favorite developer of all time? I'm going to be oddly specific with this one. My favorite developer of all time, Capcom. Not today's Capcom. I'm talking 90s Capcom, where they were pumping out amazing arcade games. They were doing Alien vs. Predator, Final Fight, X-Men vs. Street Fighter. I mean, these were the kings of the arcade industry back in the day. And, I mean, lately, of course, they've lost their way completely into just a puddle of crap. I will go back in time to the early 90s and say it's Capcom. Irrelevant Hero wants to know, top 3 favorite franchises and why? Or what's your favorite guilty pleasure game that people normally hate but you love? Ha ha. Man, if I had to pick 3 favorite gaming franchises, that's a rough one, man. I need like 10 at least. I will say Castlevania being 1, Metroid being 2, Mega Man and Zelda being 3. I can't just do 3. After that, the list goes on. But yes, that would be my top. And favorite guilty pleasure game that people hate. I wouldn't necessarily people say hate this, but, you know, they kind of do. I would say Assassin's Creed. I feel like every time there's a new Assassin's Creed, people just keep saying, here we go again, another one, but they haven't even really played the last, like, 4. So they don't really know if it's a good game or not. I love Assassin's Creed. That's my favorite modern-day game franchise. And my fiance knows. When a new Assassin's Creed comes out, you don't see me. It becomes my life. And I'm one of those OCD gamers where I want to collect everything on the map. If there's a little scroll here I have to collect, I want to get it. If there's a treasure chest over there, I need to get it before I beat the game. So those games are right up my alley because there's so much to do. People talked a lot of crap about Assassin's Creed Unity, but those co-op missions were fun as hell. If you were playing with a good group of people that work together. Luigi says, if someone installed a bomb in your house and told you you only have 1 minute to escape, what would you escape with? Man, assuming we're being unrealistic here, I would grab my giant TV, take that with me, all my game consoles. I need those. Oh shit, I got a family too. I would have my game consoles and my TV here, and then maybe with like a rope carrying my family behind me. I don't know how I would do it in a minute, but I'd figure out a way. PNG wants to know, what's the worst game you have ever played? Oh man, I'm getting pissed just thinking about this. Okay, most people are going to say Superman 64, right? Or maybe E.T. for Atari. No. Superman 64 and E.T. for Atari are the quality of Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time compared to the shitfest I'm about to describe. The worst game I have ever played is Aquaman, Battle for Atlantis. I don't even like referring to it as a game. It's just, I can't even describe it. You swim around in these muddy, disgusting graphics, slow as hell. One word to sum up this game: boring. At least Superman 64 is so frustratingly badly designed that it'll keep you awake because of how pissed off you are trying to fly through the rings. Aquaman's just boring. You'll fall asleep swimming around in the first level. And when I bought this game, I was so pissed because I love Aquaman. I'm a huge Aquaman fan. I went out and bought it at one of my local video game stores. I think I paid like $25 because I traded a bunch of other crap in. And when I got home, I was horrified. I was horrified. And I took it to GameStop. I remember a week later, I took it to GameStop. A quarter they were going to give me. A quarter. So I ended up taking it to the same video game store I bought it from. They gave me $10. And even then, I walked out of the store thinking like, oh yeah, I ripped them off. I got $10 for that game. No one wants it. Tesla Chad wants to know, who's your favorite YouTube channel and why is it Tesla Chad? I see what you did there, Chad. That's my buddy Chad Flowers. Check out his channel. I'll put the link down below. But he does want to know who my favorite channel is. My favorite channel, I have to say, is this one right here. New Retro Wave. They make all this awesome synthwave retro music. It sounds like something modernized, futuristic, like Tron mixed with like a splash of 80s. I love it. And one of the reasons it is my favorite channel is because I listen to it all the time while I'm editing. Actually, while I'm editing this video, I'll probably have them on in the background listening to it. Big Boy Zoloft wants to know, what's your favorite underwear brand? I don't know. I don't really pay attention, actually, to whatever brand I'm wearing. I mean, if it's got, like, superheroes or something nerdy on it, I think it's awesome. And maybe, like, silky boxers that feel great. Oh, and another question from Tesla Chad. He also wants to know what 2017 release I'm most excited about. Star Wars Battlefront 2. I'll explain why. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. But I'm one of those fans that takes it to the ridiculous. If there's a background character that we don't even know his name in the movie, I'll know his entire backstory because I've read about it online or in a comic book. I have everything Star Wars. The movies, Clone Wars, Rebels, I mean, everything. And I was so excited about Battlefront last year. I know I might be in the minority with modern day gaming, but I don't care about games that are multiplayer only. I get bored. Kill people, die, respawn, rinse and repeat. It's just really boring to me. So I like games with really strong campaigns. I knew Battlefront wasn't going to have a campaign. Bought it anyways, got bored after an hour. And now we're getting Star Wars Battlefront 2. Not only did they add a full-blown campaign, now in multiplayer they've got all the different eras, including the Clone Troopers. And say what you will about the prequels, but the Clone Wars is my favorite era in all of Star Wars. Those badass Clone Troopers fighting a droid army, hell yeah. And now that's in the game, that's my most anticipated release this year. William Lowry wants to know, if you can have one superpower, what would it be? And if someone gave you $1 million, what are the 3 things you would do with that money? Be creative. Superpower. Oh, that's easy. You know, I know most people would say, like, they want to fly or they want to be super strong. I don't care about any of that, man. I want Nightcrawler's powers. I want to teleport anywhere I want to be. Do you have any idea how much gas money you would save? And also, if you had a job that you had to be there at 9 a.m., your ass could wake up like at 8:30, get dressed, you're at work on time. But more importantly, this might sound kind of shitty, but if I could teleport anywhere like Nightcrawler, I mean, come on, let's be real here. You would probably teleport into a bank vault and steal a ton of money and never get caught. Maybe I wouldn't do that. Maybe I would find like a rich drug lord's home and you know, take their money. And with $1 million, what would I do? I don't know how creative I could really be. I would invest a shitload of it into this channel. I would probably buy my own little production studio. I would probably hire a bunch of people just to help me get things done. Buy top of the line like IMAX camera. I guess that's being creative. Sean W. wants to know, what's your favorite beer if you drink? I am of Puerto Rican descent, so yes, I do drink. And my favorite beer isn't any kind of like fancy craft beer or anything. Corona. That's my favorite beer. If I had to say favorite drink, it's not beer, it's actually rum. Captain Morgan spiced rum is my favorite drink. J-Box wants to know, what is your top 5 worst games you have ever played, and what are the top 5 best games you have played? Top 5 worst. Sonic the Hedgehog, otherwise known as Sonic 06. It's completely broken. I mean, I'm sure you guys have heard it all. You fall through the floor. It's bad. I already mentioned Aquaman. I already mentioned Superman 64. So there's 2 more left. Double Dragon 2, Wander of Dragons. No, not Double Dragon 2 NES, The Revenge. That game's good. I'm talking the 360 Xbox Live Arcade. Double Dragon 2. One of the worst beat-em-ups. Not just beat-em-ups, one of the worst video games I have ever played. It takes everything about Double Dragon, slows it down, and then breaks it. Power Rangers Mega Battle. This is a game I was actually excited about. I was like, cool, a modern day beat-em-up with the Power Rangers. it's extremely boring. The combos are extremely basic. You spend large portions of levels walking with nothing happening. There's one level in particular in the mall where you just have to keep going in and out of these little shops saving people. It just slows down the gameplay completely. I got like 80% of the way done with the game and I just couldn't take it anymore. This game sucks. Top 5 best games I've ever played, that's another hard one because there's like 20 of them I want to say. So if I had to narrow it down to 5, Super Metroid, because it pretty much invented a whole new, I guess you could say, gameplay style that later Castlevania copied. Ocarina of Time, I don't even feel I need to explain why. The game is a pure masterpiece. Mega Man X1, Metal Gear Solid on PS1, and Resident Evil 2. So I guess we'll end everything off with a couple more questions. They're more personal, not video game related. I apologize if I mispronounced this again. Along, where are you originally from? Assuming somewhere in the US, because you seem to have a southern accent. That's funny, that's the first time I've ever heard anyone say I have a southern accent. Maybe I do, I don't know. But you nailed it, I'm in Florida. Central Florida, born and raised. XCoolMe666X wants to know, how has your fiancé reacted to the growth of your channel in the amount of like a month? I think my fiancé was more surprised more than anything because when I first started the channel, she saw how difficult it was. You know, you spend 80 hours working on a video and you post it and then you get like 20 views. And then I made these Castlevania timeline videos and my channel just started growing real fast. So she was definitely more surprised than anything. More so because, mind you, she's not a gamer. She doesn't know about all these old video games unless it's something that I've talked to her about. So her reaction was more like, people know what Castlevania is? So I would say she was very surprised. Kanoshi wants to know, how much time did you spend in an attempt to avoid being called neckbeard? I don't know. 10 minutes? I shaved the other day. Johnathan Regalado says, hey, I love your timeline series. Thank you, Jonathan. Any plans on a Metroid timeline? Short answer, yes. It's funny too, because someone told me the other day that I had perfect timing doing the Castlevania timeline when the Netflix series came out. I was actually planning on doing it around that time anyways. It just happened to be coincidental that the Castlevania series ended up coming out around the same time. Originally, I was going to do Metroid, but then I really wanted to go back and play all the Castlevania games, so I just happened to do that instead. So yeah, I do have plans to do Metroid. To be honest, though, not for a while. I do want to wait until Metroid Prime 4 comes out, because I want to take the whole thing into account, including Metroid Prime 4. So whenever that comes out, probably sometime next year, that's when I'm looking to do it. I can tell you before that, I will probably end up doing a Resident Evil timeline at some point. So look forward to that. Garrulous64 wants to know, who are some of your inspirations? I can honestly say that 2 YouTubers specifically inspired me. Not necessarily my style, because I was always very... it was important for me to have my own style. I didn't want to copy anyone's. And what you guys see in my videos, that's just me. I don't play a character. I don't change my personality. What you see is what you get. So I think the first YouTuber that really got me thinking that I would like to do this someday is James Rolfe from Cinemassacre, otherwise known as the Angry Video Game Nerd. As you guys probably already know, his videos are hilarious, the Angry Video Game Nerd series. My favorite stuff is when you see the real him, though. I'm going to link one of his videos down below that I thought about for years. I always went back to this video when I wanted to feel inspired to create something. He did this video called, I think it was called Dragon in My Dreams, where he talked about his youth and growing up and how he was inspired to start creating things and his imagination being crafted. It's an amazing video to watch, and after watching it, you just can't help but feel inspired to do something that you want. I'm sure he'll never watch this video, but if he does, like, thank you, dude. Like, that's huge part of the reason I even decided to start getting into all this. And that takes me to the second person that I credit for inspiring me to really push forward on YouTube, and that's Boogie2988. If you guys don't know Boogie, he's a YouTuber that he's had a lot of health problems, and he makes a lot of vlog videos, and he's a very inspirational guy. He made a couple videos back in the day about what it's like being on YouTube. And instead of giving the typical advice that people would give, like, follow your dreams. Honestly, I hate to sound negative, but that's bullshit advice. He always said, if you're going into YouTube to make money, you're going to be disappointed. And it's very true. This is a very slow climb up doing YouTube. And the stories he always tells his audience about how he struggled so hard in life, because we've all had struggles in our life. Everyone has. If you haven't, you're a liar. You know, but seeing him rise up from all those struggles to change his life around in such a dramatic fashion by doing YouTube. So James and Boogie, two of my biggest inspirations here on YouTube. Mini Matt Reviews. What made you start YouTube? Any specific reason, or was it just something you decided to do one day? So let me get serious for a second, because I do want to tell you guys a story, and I hope somewhere in here somebody finds a message that can relate to you. I started this channel, I think around April or May 2016, last year. I was thinking about doing YouTube maybe like a half a year before. That's when I seriously started considering doing YouTube. And what really pushed me to do it was that I want to do something with my life that I enjoy. You know, we have this mentality, especially here in the United States, there's this mentality that you go to college, you get a 9-to-5 job, and you know what? That's not for everybody. You know, I did that. I went to college for way more than 4 damn years, spent a load of money to get a bachelor's degree in business management. I even almost went back for a master's just because, you know, in my family, my parents were always real old school, so that's just kind of how they saw things. You know, you go to college, you graduate, you get a boring-ass desk job. At the time when I started my channel, I was working, I won't say exactly where, but I was working from home for a credit card company, doing call center work. I was there about 3 years already, and it was to the point where every day I woke up out of bed and I was miserable. You know, at one point, I don't even know if I want to put this out there, but I'm open with you guys completely. At one point, I even went to a doctor because I felt so depressed. And after talking more and more with a doctor, I remember something specifically she said, because I complained about my job a lot, and it really did. I mean, everything I said that made me upset was my job. And the doctor basically told me, if your job is making you feel that way, why are you working there? That simple statement, it's so obvious, but it's so hard to break out of this rut when you're in one. And I just kept thinking to myself, like, man, I would love to do YouTube. And, you know, for years I'd been watching all my favorite YouTubers, always wanted to do that, but I've never actually pulled the trigger to do it. When I seriously started considering doing YouTube, I was like, I hate this job. I'm no longer going to try at this job. And mind you, it was the kind of job where you would sit there on the phone 10 hours a day straight. You weren't allowed to get up to go to the bathroom until it was time for your break, or a manager would be up your ass. Every 2 seconds, a little chat window would pop up and they'd be harassing you. It was a very micromanaged environment. So it got to the point where I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm sick of it. I'm done. I used to work on 2 monitors, right? And I remember one specific day, I was on a call with a customer. It was 5 minutes before I was supposed to leave. And on this screen, I had my schedule pulled up just to see when I work again. And then a manager got on me because I had my schedule pulled up during a call. The next day, I quit. I didn't put a 2 weeks notice in. I told my manager on the phone, I'm done. I quit. The point I want to get across to somebody out there is that if you're, and this doesn't necessarily just apply to work, you know, it could apply to relationships, just life in general. If you're in a situation where you feel stuck and you have nowhere to move up to, you have nothing to look forward to, get out of it, because it'll consume you. It will make your life miserable. I was miserable for at least an entire year, because I thought, this is it. This is where I am the rest of my life. No, if there's something you want to do, and this might sound like stereotypical advice, if it does, I apologize, but it's true. If there's something in you, if you have that creative flame inside of you, and if you are a creative person, you know what I'm talking about. If you feel that inside of you, use it. Don't do what you think you're supposed to do. Do what makes you happy and satisfied as a human being. Because I could tell you, the second I quit my job and I started doing YouTube, man, I was way happier. I just felt like, okay, now I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. You know inside of you at that point that you're on the right track. I do want to give this advice. It comes with extreme hardships. It really does. Especially if you're trying to make a career out of it. I am. That's my goal with YouTube. I want to make this a job. Right now, I do have a different job that I also don't care for, but it's simply for the purpose of paying the bills. Because right now, no, YouTube's not enough to pay the bills. Eventually, I'll possibly do a Patreon. I'll possibly sell merchandise because I want to turn this into a job. I want to be able to support my family by making videos that you guys enjoy. It's what I have a passion for. when I first started, there was a big learning curve, you know, between teaching myself how to edit videos, what kind of identity I wanted to give my channel. Aside from all that, at the time, my now fiance, she had been pregnant for a couple of months. So I quit my secure, high-paying job with full benefits to do YouTube. I knew it was a risk, but I had talked to her previously, and I have to say, we've butted heads many times over it. Because it was the kind of situation where I'd be home making videos, she's still working. So yeah, there was a lot of butting heads, but at the end of the day, she could see where it's headed now. I thought to myself, how are we going to live while I build my channel? I wanted to give myself at least a year of just doing YouTube before I went out and got another job to help pay the bills. So what I did, I went to the bank and got a personal loan for like, I don't remember, it was like $15,000, which sounds like a lot, but man, it goes like that when you're just using that to pay bills for over a year. That's nothing. Luckily, I found a bank that approved my loan, so that's kind of what I lived off of during the time, which I'm still paying off now, but that's okay, because that gave me time in that year to really build up my channel. I was dedicated to doing that, and I was going to do anything for it to succeed. So that helped out tremendously. And YouTube has become almost a routine in my life now. Now it's just part of what I do, you know, weekly, daily, whatever. I've loved the community that we've created all together here. You know, I feel like I have a responsibility to make content for you guys, while at the same time taking care of my housing responsibility, my 2 kids, and my fiance, and my family. But I like it. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. I like being constantly busy, constantly having something to work on. And YouTube, to me, aside from wanting it to be a job, it's almost therapeutic to me. When I'm making these videos, I'm happy. I'm taking that creative energy inside of me, and I'm turning it into something that I can make for other people to enjoy. So thank you, Mini Matt, for that question. I'm glad I was able to share that story, because like I said before, it's a very personal story to me, because it's been full of a lot of hardship, crap that I haven't even gone into in this video, because I'd be sitting here for another hour talking about it. But I really hope that message gets to somebody out there that might be feeling the way I did, where you might be in a job that you really hate, or maybe you do want to do YouTube, fuck it, or anything else, and you just don't know if you're going to be good at it or successful. Just do it, dude. If there's an idea you really want to try out, but you don't know you're going to be successful at it, if you don't even try, there's going to be a 100% chance that you're going to fail at it. But again, thank you guys. We're reaching 2,000 subscribers any day now, so thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys rock my damn world. You know, some of you that have been here on the channel for a little while might know some of this information about me already. But for all you newcomers, I hope you feel like you know me a little better. If you stick around for the future, you'll see that I'm very open about my life and about YouTube in general. So yeah, I guess that's it. It is now 3 in the morning, and I work in the morning. So I'm going to let you guys go now, and I am going to go to bed. Actually, I'm probably going to play Ghost Recon Wildlands for a little bit and then go to bed. But I've had a blast making this video. I've got a ton more content coming up for you guys planned out through the rest of this year. So if you like this video, leave me a like, leave me a comment with your thoughts. Follow me on Twitter too. This is Fabian. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.